Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Now in this video, I am going to do the 5th poem of First Language English 10th Standard SSLC. The name of the poem is A Poison Tree, written by William Blake. Now before I start introducing the poem, let me tell about poison. What is poison? It is something that kills someone. Poison is deadly. In this poem, the poet describes the narrator's repressed feelings of anger and hatred towards an individual. His emotions, which eventually lead to negative consequences or sometimes to murder. It is a straightforward poem with a straightforward message. It's a warning to all that repressed anger is always dangerous. Poet William Blake. The Poison Tree is published in 1794 as part of his Song of Experience collection. The poem, A Poison Tree, is one of the most wonderful and appreciated works of William Blake. Blake is a poet, painter, engraver and visionary. Blake worked to bring about a change both in social order and in the minds of men. The poem, A Poison Tree, is a simple short poem about hate and anger. It is a deceptively simple poem about repressing anger and the consequence of repressing one's anger. We understand that repressing our anger is incredibly negative, is a moral message for all in this poem. Let me read and explain the poem. The first stanza. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath. My wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not. My wrath did grow. Now, see the opposite. Friend, foe. End, grow. Wrath means anger. Foe means enemy. In the first stanza, the poet or narrator tells us how that once he was angry or had misunderstanding with his friend and he told his friend about it. That is, the narrator acknowledges anger towards his friend. In this way, the anger or wrath vanished away. We learn that when we talk about anger to our friend, the problem will be solved. We understand that when we are angry, expose the anger and the anger will disappear or end. There is peace and no hatred. Now, in the third line again, the speaker says he was once angry with his foe or his enemy, but he didn't express or tell about it. He suppressed his anger in his heart, since the speaker did not talk about his anger. Read the line, I told it not. His anger got bigger and bigger. My wrath did grow. So it is clear now that because he never told about it, the anger kept growing in his mind against his enemy. He forced himself to keep it hidden from his enemy and would use to make fake smiles in front of him. The poet William Blake in this poem has depicted the difference between two types of anger. One is positive and the other is negative. He states that when you are angry with a friend, you convince your heart to forgive him, forget the past and end the feeling of vengeance in your heart. On the other hand, when you are angry with him, it takes ages for you to calm your anger. Yet the anger will never finish and the vengeance will simply grow. This second stanza. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears, and I sunned it with smiles and with soft deceitful wiles. Sunned is give light and heat, nourished. The poet is making a confession in this stanza of Poison Tree. It is he who is solely responsible for the hatred that has grown in his heart for his enemy. He had nurtured the hatred with his fears, spending hours together, crying for the ill that has been caused to him by his enemy. The poet talks more about how his anger grows, using figurative language, and he says he treated his anger very much like a plant or sapling. A plant needs water and sun in order to grow, and so apparently does the speaker's anger. He watered the plant with his fears and his tears and made sure it got plenty of sunshine. It grew into a tree. The speaker says he sunned his anger with smiles. Here we understand that the speaker pretended to be friendly and nice person in front of his enemy, but has nurtured hatred towards him. The second stanza shows how the narrator repressed his anger. Stanza 3. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright, and my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. The poet states that it is because of his dwelling or living in the same hatred that it grew every day and night. The plant grew into a bigger tree and came out with a bright poisonous apple. So the hatred of anger gave birth to an apple. Why does the poet talk about the apple? Now it is from the story of Adam and Eve from the Bible. The apple here, the fruit, signifies the evil that has taken birth in the heart of the narrator. He wants to give it to his enemy. He states that he has now come to a point from where he can't turn back and forget about his enemy unless he harms him. The fruit has turned into a weapon. Now it is the evil fruit of vengeance. I hope it is clear. Stanza 4. And into my garden stole. Steal past tense, stole. When the night had wheeled the pole, in the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. Here pole is the North Pole Star. The poet says the enemy entered his garden at night. It was very dark because the North Star or the Pole Star was covered. Here we should understand it was emotion that was covered and not seen. And the enemy steals the apple. The enemy didn't realize it was poisonous. He eats it and dies. In the morning the speaker is happy his enemy lies dead beneath the apple tree of his hatred. He bit the poisonous apple of vengeance. He is murdered or killed, so anger can destroy everything, even one's life. This poem is for memorization. Now let me discuss the question answers. What happened when the speaker repressed his anger? When the speaker expressed his anger with his friend, his anger ended and the conflict was solved. What happened when the speaker suppressed his anger? When the speaker suppressed his anger, it only grew. How are the results differ in the two instances? Expression of anger in the first instance relieves the person of all ill feeling, whereas suppression of anger in the second instance poisons him all the more because it grows. Who stole into the speaker's garden? The speaker's enemy entered and stole into the speaker's garden. What words in stanza 2 show that the speaker is now talking of his anger as if it were a seed or a small plant? What served as water for the plant? What served as sunlight? The word watered and sunned indicate that the speaker treats the anger like a seed. His tears were the water and his false smiles and deceitful wiles served as sunlight. What is referred to as poisonous tree in the poem? In the poem, the poisonous tree bears an apple that is stolen from the enemy. The enemy dies eating the apple. In the Christian myth, Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit and they lose their innocence and are banned forever from the Garden of Eden. What kind of a tree and fruit can grow when they are nurtured by fears, tears, hypocritical smiles and deceitful wiles? If a tree and fruit grow with the fears, tears, hypocritical smiles and with deceitful wiles, it will go into a poisonous tree and give poisonous fruit. What does the poison tree symbolize? William Blake's poison tree basically uses two symbols, an apple and a tree, to relate its meaning. The tree represents a growing anger in the speaker's heart against his enemy, and the apple represents the fruit, that anger and action in the poem. Thank you. This is Padma. Have a great day. Just see the rhyme scheme and literary devices of the poem.